Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. A relatively small team in VMware have worked on PowerCLI in the last 4 years. The result of its work have brought all of you today here. And I wouldn't hide. I'm proud to see so many professionals from all over the world today sharing the same interest. Let me introduce myself. My name is Vladimir Goranov, and I work as Research and Development Manager in VMware. In the last more than 10 years, I'm accountable for different software products. PowerCLI is my responsibility. You are probably familiar with this slide. This is our disclaimer. I wouldn't spend much time on it. In short, we want you to be up to date with our latest thoughts. The problem is that we never know if they are really final. So we wish to state that up front. Here is our agenda for today. A quick overview on what PowerCLI is. My colleague, Javor Bojchev, will give you guidelines on how to create your first report and make it look nice. As always, you will enjoy a short live demo. For the vSphere administrators, I have prepared some information on reports made with PowerCLI. They will provide you the means to be more efficient monitoring the virtual infrastructure. We'll present to you the PowerCLI part of the most vibrant topic of this conference. Of course, this is how to report the vCloud. And at the end, we expect to have a Q&A session. We'll try to answer all the questions along the time allow us. And probably for some of you, there is a better alternative. Just don't miss the chance to pass and grab one of our business cards, so you will be able to contact us directly. Let's briefly discuss some basic facts about PowerCLI. PowerCLI is a VMware snap-in for Microsoft Task Automation Framework, PowerShell. PowerCLI supplies more than 290 commands, which in PowerShell are called commandlets. With those 290 commandlets, you will be able to manage the entire virtual stack. From deploying ESX hosts and configuring its network and storage, to provisioning virtual machines and configuring the applications within those virtual machines. PowerCLI supports multiple versions of the virtual infrastructure, so you don't have to worry about, when you write your scripts, to worry about against which version of the virtual infrastructure you are going to run them. Last but not least, PowerCLI is completely free. Now, it's a privilege for me to invite to the stage my colleague and friend, Javor Bojchev.
Thank you, Vladi. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Thank you. Wow. So many people over here today waiting for this presentation and showing such a tremendous interest in the PowerCLI product, and today specifically in its reporting capabilities. Before I continue with this presentation, let me first present myself for those of you who don't know me, because I can see quite a few familiar faces in the audience. Hi, Luke. Hi, Alan. How many of you know Luke Dickens and Alan Renew from the PowerCLI community? All right. So everybody who raised their hands, they can forward the questions at the end of the presentation towards them. All right. So my name is Yavor Boychev. I'm working as a quality engineering manager in VMware. And I've been part of the PowerCLI team since we initially started developing the product back in 2007. During those 4 years, my main focus has been on delivering the PowerCLI product as a high quality and very customer-oriented one. So, if you have any troubles with it, you would like to share an opinion, suggest a new feature or improvement, or just say some nice words about the team and its work, as Vladimir mentioned, don't hesitate, come at the end of this presentation, grab one of our business cards, contact us directly over email. Quick note, I know there are about 800 people over here today with us, and me and Vladi, we have about 200 business cards, so it's going to be like first come, first serve. All right, me and Vladi are over here today to talk about PowerCLI being a great tool for reporting. And I'm sure at the end of this presentation, when you walk away from this room, you're going to share our opinion that PowerCLI is the tool when it comes to report your virtual infrastructure. And there's so many reasons this to be a fact. Now I'm going to list probably the 3 most important ones. First, in our latest release, which is PowerCLI 5.0, we just have released that a week ago. PowerCLI offers more than 100 GET commandlets. With those GET commandlets, you can retrieve all type of objects out of the virtual infrastructure. You can combine those GET commandlets into simple, but yet very useful PowerCLI reports. Second, PowerCLI is an add-on for PowerShell. PowerCLI leverages the PowerShell technology and builds on top of it. And PowerShell itself has some nice, great built-in reporting capabilities. I'm going to talk about those and make a little demo little later during this presentation. Last but not least, if you, as an administrator, have the task to build a reporting script, there is a pretty good chance somebody has already done it for you using PowerCLI. You just need to go to the PowerCLI community forums, search for such script. Worst case scenario is that you're going to find a similar one, most likely created by Luke. You need to take it, modify it, and achieve your goal. So if you haven't already, if you're not a PowerCLI community member, I strongly recommend you to go to vmware.com/go/PowerCLI and register. Now, let's take a look at some examples how you can build fast and easy reporting scripts using PowerCLI. And what a better example to start with than the one reporting the virtual machines in your virtual infrastructure. Using the get VM commandlet, we are able to retrieve all virtual machines out of the virtual center servers to which we are currently connected using the connect VI server commandlet. Now we can pipe the data that comes out of the get VM commandlet to the native PowerShell commandlet, which is select object, and choose only those properties in which we are interested. Choose the data we want in our report. If you need to find out what properties are available within any PowerCLI object, actually in any PowerShell object, you can pipe that object to the select star or get member commandlets and see what properties are available over there for you. A quick note about the PowerCLI objects. Objects that come out of execution of PowerCLI commandlet are rich, meaning that most of the times you'll be able to achieve your reporting needs in a simple manner as shown on the screen, just selecting only those properties in which you are interested. Now we have our data about the report we want to create. Let's persist it in a file. Using the export CSV commandlet, we are able to save that data into the ever-useful CSV format. As a result, what we get is a CSV file report containing very valuable information about our virtual infrastructure. Another example, and the use case is the same. We want to report the virtual machines in our inventory. But what if we don't we don't care about the part of virtual machines in our inventory? We want only data about the powered-on virtual machines. Building such a script is as easy as the previous one. Following the same manner, the same standard. Using the get VM commandlet, retrieving all the virtual machines out of the virtual center servers, and then piping this result to a native PowerShell commandlet. In this case, this is the select object commandlet, allowing us to filter only those virtual machines which have a power state property equal powered on. A very easy, very familiar syntax for administrators. A quick clarification over here. $_ is a special construct within PowerShell. $_ holds the current object on the pipeline. In this example, the current object on the pipeline is the current virtual machine object on the pipeline. And because the PowerCLI virtual machine object contains a power state property, this allows us to do such a simple query as shown on the screen. The rest of the example is already familiar to you. Just choosing the data you want to include in your report and persisting it to a file against CSV file. The result? Obviously the same report, but just containing the data about the powered-on virtual machines. Now let's make this more complicated. Let's dig deeper. This time I would like to report not only the virtual machines, but the data stores and the hosts on which they reside, along with the status of their VMware tools. You might be asking yourself the question, why is this different than the other two examples? Why is this under the section of creating complicated reports? Can we just do a get VM, select the properties in which we are interested, name, VM host, data store, and tool status, and save it into a CSV file as we have done in our two previous reports? No, we can't, because there is no data store and there is no tool status property within the client-side virtual machine object. Yeah, I know I said that the objects which comes as a result of the execution of a PowerCLI commandlet are rich. And they are rich, but not that rich. We cannot just stuff everything within the client-side object out of the virtual center server. This will make the client-side object pretty large, difficult to work with from usability point of view, and will result in performance penalties. Now, how are we going to do our report then? How about creating a custom object containing the data, containing the properties in which we are interested? And this is one of those one of the times where you can use one of those many little things available within PowerShell that allow you to create and complete a relatively complicated task, such as creating a custom object in a very simple, very familiar manner. In this case, we are creating a custom object by simply piping an empty string to the select object commandlet and choosing the properties which we want in our report. Name, VM host, data store, and tool status. Now, there are other ways to achieve the same thing, and when you browse the community forums, you're going to see different ways of doing that. All of them has pros and cons. You can use the new object commandlet and just specify the properties over there. But this is one of the most familiar ways. Most of the reports available in the community use this syntax. Now, if you take a look at the line on the screen, this is how a row in our final report should look like. A row in our report should have name, VM host, data store, and tool status columns. And if you think about it, we should have such a row for each and every virtual machine in our inventory. Now imagine your final report. Your final report is going to be a collection of such rows. Then just create an empty collection. Create an empty array, call it report. Obviously, we need to add a row for each and every virtual machine in our inventory in our final report. Now we have the skeleton of our table, of our report. We just need to fill it with data. And we already know how to fulfill the name and the VM host columns. Just retrieving the data straight out of the objects, out of the name and VM host properties. Yes, but we do not have a Datastore property, as I just mentioned. Yes, but we do have a getDatastore commandlet, and you can retrieve the data store on which a virtual machine resides by simply piping the virtual machine object to the getDatastore commandlet. That wasn't too difficult. Probably going to be the same for the toStatus property. Well, it's not. Because in our virtual machine client-side object, we don't have a toStatus property, but we don't have a getToS or getToStatus commandlet. Maybe we should implement one. It's going to make it simple. So what are we doing then? Obviously calling Captain America for help. And in our case, Captain America, in PowerCLI words, Captain America is the extension data property. The extension data property is a property which is available with each and every PowerCLI object. The extension data is our gateway to the corresponding fully loaded object on the server. In this case, the extension data property of the virtual machine object is our gateway to the corresponding virtual machine object on the server. And the virtual machine object on the server has a guest property and has a toStatus version property. Oh, it's to's version status. Now, last line, our report is ready. Again, persist it into a CSV file. A final question on this slide, and an answer from me also. So how should we know where to look for the properties in which we are interested on the server? Well, that's kind of advanced topic for scripting with PowerCLI, but what you can do is download the API reference guide documentation straight out of the official VMware website. Look for the object in which you are interested, in this case, the virtual machine object. There is a search possibility over there. And browse its properties. See how you can reach the properties to which you are interested using the extension data. Is the API reference guide. Now, everything I was doing over here was initially needed because our client-side virtual machine object didn't contain all the properties we wanted to report. Didn't contain the data store and didn't contain the toStatus properties. But what if we were able to extend our PowerCLI objects, the types which are already available, with custom properties? And actually we can do that. Using the new VI property commandlet, we can add properties to already existing types of objects. We just need to specify the object type. In our case, this is the virtual machine object. Name that property, that custom property, data store, and give a value. Specify how this property is going to be calculated once we want to access it. By simply specifying an argument to the value perimeter. Now, there are different ways you can specify argument to the value perimeter. I will not go in details describing how this is structured, but what you need to know is that for the value perimeter, you should specify an expression how this property is going to be calculated. Obviously, we can retrieve we can specify a toStatus property in the very same manner. For the most better experienced users of PowerCLI, the one who have already used the new VI property command, they see that based on extension property last line over here. This is actually specifying that out of the extension data, we don't want to retrieve all the properties, but we just want to retrieve the toStatus property. This will make our report performance optimized. Again, once we create those custom properties, we are back to the basics. We can do our report by simply piping get VM to the select object command, then specifying all the properties in which we are interested. Three important notes over here. The first one, those custom properties are going to be available for you as long as the session, the PowerCLI session in which you have created those, is alive. Once you kill that session, those are gone. There is a workaround for that. You can save the declaration of those properties in your PowerCLI profile, PowerShell profile, and then load them every time you open a new PowerCLI session. A second note over here. If you would like to know how to work with the new VI property, I didn't give much information about that, but there are some really nice blogs available. Obviously, Luke was one of the people who blogged about it. You can search his blog about creating properties with new VI property. I'm going to add a blog post in the PowerCLI blog explaining in details how you can work with the new VI property, because there are a lot of things you can achieve with it in terms of performance. And third note, most likely you will not need to create your own custom properties, because Luke and the community has gathered a nice library of custom properties for all kinds of objects, have put them together and wrapped them in a PowerShell version 2 module. You can just go grab it from his website and use it. Now, so far we've been talking about how to retrieve data out of the virtual infrastructure. We haven't talked about how to wrap it up, how to present it. I have mentioned the export CSV commandlet, persisting your report into a CSV file. But this is just one of the commandlets available within PowerShell, giving you the opportunity to make all kinds of reports. Now on the screen are listed the commandlets available in PowerShell version 2 suitable for reporting. I will not go in details describing each one of them. If you need to find more information, you can just read their documentation and examples in the PowerShell console by simply typing get help and the name of the commandlet. Or you can read it online or in any decent PowerShell book. I'll just give quick overview of some of them. The format table commandlet is very suitable when you need a greater control over the way you represent your report data in a tabular format in the PowerShell console, but only in the PowerShell console. The export CSV commandlet, we have already talked about it. Obviously, the CSV format is very useful as an intermediate format. It's very useful because it can be processed from more sophisticated tools such as Microsoft Excel and create nicely visualized reports. Outgrid view and convert to HTML are a couple of commandlets that I'm going to show in a quick demo in just a minute. It's worth mentioning the export XOS function, generously provided by Luke Dickens, which allows us to create fully valued Excel sheet reports straight out of PowerShell. And finally, PowerShell and PowerCLI are great products. And one of the reasons for that is they are open to collaborate with other applications, with third-party tools. Whether this is going to be Excel, reading the CSV file, or Power Gadgets, reading any of the formats, creating nice visualized reports. But you have the tools to create nicely formatted reports using both PowerCLI, PowerShell, and reporting applications. Now, no more talking for me for now. Let's go and do a quick demo. Vlad is going to talk a little bit about how, our pick of top 5 PowerCLI reports available for you in the community. And then he's going to give you a quick overview of what is coming out in terms of reporting the cloud with PowerCLI. And at the end, I'm going to fix the computer and show you the demo.
Thank you, Javor. I hope you have enjoyed the basics about how to create PowerCLI reports. Now it's time to focus our attention to the collection of reports which will deliver to every single vSphere administrator incomparable professional advantage. Let's start with one of the most distinguished members of our PowerCLI community, its work and its name, Alan Renouf. He has put together an amazing and completely free PowerShell reporting script which can be run against the vCenter server and report back on many common issues and best practices. This report is known as vCheck and is available from his website. It is designed to work before you get in the office. More than 40 verifications will be made against your virtual infrastructure, and if a potential for troubles is identified, you will get an email with information specific for a particular problematic area. It is a great way to be proactive and find issues before they become serious. Please note that the screenshot doesn't represent the entire report. As you can see, you can start benefiting from PowerCLI even without knowing writing scripts. There is a very high chance that all the scripts you could need are already written and available for you at no cost. VMware vSphere doesn't provide a native way to run scheduled snapshot reports. However, having daily snapshot reports can be very useful, especially if you are using a snapshot-based backup software to backup your virtual machines. Orphaned or uncleaned snapshots could be problematic because they grow in size and can cause VMs to become corrupt or prevent other new backups from execution. Those lingering snapshots can cause VMs to become corrupt and, as I said already, prevent backup jobs from completing. This script is provided by Computing B and is available on axiomdynamics.com. So you can download it from there and configure it to send you an email or generate an available for you output in a format you would like. Alan has chosen another approach, notifying via email the snapshot owner about snapshots other than a certain configurable amount of days. Both approaches aim the same: monitoring and maintaining healthy snapshots policy compliance. A continuation of the same situation, vital piece of data, the available space on our data stores, which we need to monitor constantly and take care of. James Bowling has prepared a useful script which delivers that information to us. The script is available on vessential.com, and the script is configurable to serve your specific needs. Well, with this slide, I'm showing you just the top of the iceberg called statistics. There are tons of statistical data available in vSphere in order to work with the virtual infrastructure. All of it is accessible through PowerCLI. Luke Dickens has started a series of blog posts on his website with the intent to exhibit to the community the specifics of this domain. You can find there a collection of useful reports oriented to retrieve back to you all needed information about the performance of your virtual infrastructure. A useful example of one-line report is available on virtual.net by Alan Renouf, and it represents the usage of the virtual machine resources in your infrastructure. This is just an example. It is essential to understand that the existing reports available online are just the beginning of your journey retrieving data from the virtual infrastructure. Most probably none of you will find the exact match of the need you have represented in one of those scripts. The good news is that you will be able to shape those scripts in seconds. Let me show you the famous Who Created That VM script report by Alan Renouf. This script is basically traversing the virtual center server event log for events which represents the creation or the deployment of new virtual machine. Then using the Quest Active Directory commandlets, it matches the user available in the Virtual Center Server database with the one available in the Active Directory and reports it back. At the end, we get the name of the VM, its creator, and its birth date. What do you think? How difficult it would be to modify this script in order to, instead finding the creator, find the person who deleted this VM, or modified it along its life? Note that the integration with the Active Directory provides us the ability not only to find the user working with the virtual machine, but also its manager if you want to report to them something. Another modification of the very same script available in the community from Carter Shanklin and some other members of the community is the one which consolidates that data and provides you a report with all the VMs created in a certain period of time, in that case, each month. Till now, we have navigated in the well-known comfort zone of vSphere. I'm sure many of you are adventurers and curious to sail in the future cloudy weather, still with the automation flagship PowerCLI. Let me introduce you to the scripting capabilities PowerCLI will offer in just a couple of months for reporting the cloud infrastructure. It is natural to perceive the virtual machine as a building block to the vSphere. So it is not surprise that the cloud infrastructure building block is the virtual application. Virtual application inventory owned by a certain user probably is the most natural step we can make when we start retrieving information for the vCloud infrastructure. Our script will consist from the corresponding in the vCloud infrastructure commandlet for vCloud applications, get cloud VApp, filtered by the owner, in that case, John, and followed by the standard select and export steps to persist our data. And voila, our report is ready. Nothing new, everything is familiar, the same approach, almost the same commandlets. Now, let's go further and add more business value to our work. When you manage IT resources, you need a means to constantly monitor how loaded is the infrastructure. It is essential to have clear view on where opportunities for upgrade to higher service levels are available and take the necessary steps. Provider VDC, or provider virtual data center, is the appropriate level to use in order to consolidate the organizational virtual data centers in a given provider virtual data center and analyze the data available in order to make the necessary decisions and take the necessary steps. Standard steps for select and export the data will provide us with the necessary information in order to analyze our cloud. Please note that in that case we use the export XLS function, and there are 3 dots at the end. Those replace the configuration of the function. So please refer to the Luke Dickens site to see how exactly you could specify the parameters of that function and get to your managers the visualized reports they want in order to easily monitor the services you provide. The very same report, instead data for all available organizational virtual data centers in a given provider virtual data center, could be tuned to deliver just the one matching specific criteria. If we define our audience to upgrade if they fall below 10% of the computer power, memory, and storage availability, the result will give to us just a few records out of the entire infrastructure. That will give us the chance to focus our attention just to the organizations which need it. Here is a complete list of reporting commandlets we plan to provide. As you can see, we have invested heavily in PowerCLI reporting capabilities for the vCloud infrastructure. you will be able to create, automate, and schedule the retrieval of data out of the cloud in no time. Of course, we had added some additional commandlets in order to make this job easier, but they are out of the scope of today's presentation. Now, allow me to give the word again to Javor. Thank you.
Now we're going to do a second try, get that report done. My computer thought that things that I was talking were too boring and fall asleep, so now it's awake. In my script editor, I have loaded the script that I was talking a little bit earlier about. The one reporting the virtual machines, their names, hosts, and data store on which they reside, and their VMware tools status. I have added a single line at the beginning of that script, which established a connection to my demo virtual center server back home in Bulgaria, 6,000 miles away from over here. Now, this is completely live. I'm going to hit execute and see what's going to happen. Now, this is going to be a little bit slow. I'm using the same internet connectivity as the rest of the 20,000 people over here in the event, really retrieving data 6,000 miles away from over here. So don't blame the product about the speed that you can see. Blame me, blame the organizers, but not the product. It's going to take, I think it's going to take.
I got a question. Where are you inputting your credentials? Line 2?
The question is where I have put my credentials. The credentials are in the credential store. Okay. PowerCLI provides a credential store, which is a safe place to store your credentials because it's encrypted, yeah. All right, so thanks to the question, you were on board waiting for the script to complete. Now we have our report ready. Let's see how the report looks like in the PowerShell console. The report is stored in our report variable. Just going to hit enter. And now you can see all the data you expect to see over here is present, based on what we have put into the report script while creating it. Now, report data in the console is not pretty useful when it comes to reporting, and you need to bring that report to your manager. Now, if you don't need to persist that report data into a file, you don't need it for later, but you need to interact with it, probably search for something, specify some other filter criteria, or sort any of the columns. There is a pretty convenient commandlet available in PowerShell version 2 that I like. It's called outGridView. Let's take a look how it works. What I need to do is just pipe the report variable to the outGridView commandlet. And now what we get, well, it's probably you're not able to see very well, but that's the very same data presented into a grid view, which you can interact with. You can specify any filters in the filter text box, and that will just filter the data. Or you can sort any of the columns by clicking on the column header. Now, as I have mentioned, this is very useful when it comes to interact with your report data, but it's not when you need to save it, because there is no save functionality available within the outGridView commandlet. Another example, I told you that I'm going to show you how you can create HTML reports using the convert to HTML commandlet available within PowerShell. Again, I just need to pipe the report variable holding out my report data to the convert. Come on, don't fall asleep. Well, it's not my computer's day, so it blacked out again. Sorry about that, but you can use the convert to HTML commandlet and get the report data into an HTML format. What I was about to show you, that the convert to HTML commandlet allow you to specify a cascade style sheet file. And when you put some formatting data into the cascade style sheet file, you can very nicely report the data to your manager. For the end of our presentation, during the last 45 minutes, we've been talking about how easy it is to get started with PowerCLI, creating your first PowerCLI reports. Easy, fast, and fun, but very valuable data reported out of your virtual infrastructure. And once you use PowerCLI and PowerShell for reporting, this is the easiest way you can learn those two products. And once you are past the learning hurdle, you can use those products not only for reporting your virtual infrastructure, but for complete automation of your virtual infrastructure. vSphere PowerCLI, PowerCLI for the cloud, PowerCLI for Update Manager, PowerCLI for managing how to deploy and configuring rule engine, PowerCLI for image builder, and plenty of other products on the pipeline. Evaluating PowerCLI as an option to specify reporting capabilities of their applications. This makes PowerCLI the ultimate tool when it comes to automated management of your entire virtual stack. Are you ready to give it a shot? Lab number 14 is our PowerCLI lab, which will give some nice information. You can get your hands dirty. Whether you're a beginner with PowerCLI or have some experience, there is something for all of you over there. Just go and take it. And finally, there is quite more content available in terms of PowerCLI on this event. This is a list of complete sessions available regarding PowerCLI. For your friends who didn't manage to watch us today, see PowerCLI reporting capabilities, we're going to have a repeat session tomorrow at 4 o'clock, 4:30. All right, so before I open for questions, I would like to thank you for being over here and making this a very special presentation. On your way out, you can grab one of the famous PowerCLI posters. Now we are open for questions. A question over here. The question is what version we're going to have the cloud commandlets available. There's going to be a separate snapping for the cloud commandlets. It's going to be its first version. When exactly, not allowed to say that, but soon.